Welcome to the Must Reads interview series sponsored by the Perkins Center for Preaching Excellence. I'm Wes Allen, and I'm excited to have with me today a returning guest to Must Reads, Sunggu Yang, Associate Professor of Theology and Christian Ministries at George Fox University. Welcome, Dr. Yang.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
We've invited you to Must Reads this time to discuss your most recent edited volume that's entitled Arts and Preaching, a Handbook for Practice. But before we can really talk about that, we really need to back up and ask about your earlier single-authored book that has a similar title, Arts and Preaching, an Aesthetic Homiletic for the 21st Century. So how about telling our viewers a little bit about that first volume as context to talk about this new one?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks so much once again for having me. I really love this podcast series, and I get a lot of great insights whenever I listen. So this is a true honor to be back. Thank you, Dr. Allen. So the first book, Arts and Preaching, and that book was kind of intentionally theoretical and philosophical. I wanted to lay out some foundation that we can apply when it comes to actual preaching. But I thought we need some strong theological, theoretical, and even philosophical, aesthetically speaking as well, some foundation we can use for our actual practice. So that's what I worked on back then. And there were some responses from my guild colleagues and field preachers. They're like, we really want to see some practical, the application of these theoretical or philosophical, theological ideas into practice. And I really wanted to honor their request. And that was something I had in my mind back then as well. So that's why this came out. We're working with local pastors and practicing preachers so that they can bring their own, practical insights, of course, based on my somehow theoretical book. So our very first task was reading their book thoroughly. Thankfully, they finished the book. And I recruited 5 practicing preachers, by the way. So all of them, each of them read one chapter and delve into one chapter so that they can really absorb all the insight from each chapter and write one chapter. So original book, 5 chapters, and this one, the new one, has 5 chapters as well, and 5 practicing preachers based on that theory or philosophy and theology. They produced a really and immediately applicable handbook. So our goal was, when you read it, each chapter, you can produce some type of artistic preaching based on the book. It's just following the practical guidelines, the insights, even some sermon samples found in the book as well. So those 2 books, my original one, this handbook or practical one, they complement each other and they work each other. So if you can read both of them together, that's ideal. But our goal was, okay, reading the second book should be fine, totally fine, as long as you have some sense of what's going on in the book and want to practice what is written in the book.
Now, these aren't the only 2 books you're planning. You've got others that are coming out too. How do they fit with what you've done so far?
Thank you for that question. Yes, so unfortunately or fortunately, we could discuss, explore only 5 forms of the art forms in this volume. So those 5 are painting, architecture, film, fashion, and drama. And as we are writing and as we're finishing the handbook, we are like, well, there are many other great forms of arts, and they could go with our preaching practice very well. Including, Dr. Allen, you have a preaching and advertising, right? Preaching and marketing. That book came out just a couple of years ago. You're like, we should have done it. He done it first. so we are like, okay, but there are other forms of arts that could go with in tandem with preaching practice or enhance preaching practice and vice versa somehow. So on the second volume we are working on, we plan to include cartoon making or cartoons, and because cartoon has good humor and philosophy and communication skills. So those we want to somehow apply to the preaching practice as well. And photography, dancing, and compelling storytelling and probably rock music. So we're being more creative or innovative. So those will be included in the second volume at this point.
Very nice. Now, these are not just like how you might refer to fashion or
Yeah,
photography.
yeah.
It's much deeper than that. It really
Hmm.
is sort of what you can learn from this art and
Hmm.
bring into preaching. So let me ask you this: why now? What
Hmm.
makes our current homiletical, cultural,
Hmm.
societal, whatever ecclesial context the right time
Hmm.
to invite this aesthetic approach to preaching?
Thank you for that. Well, that was one of a couple of, I mean, very fundamental questions we had, or I had when I was writing my original and this handbook, the second one as well. So why now, or why is it really needed at this
Yeah.
point? Well, as far as I can tell, and probably we've known this very much. The contemporary congregants, especially the millennials or Z generation these days, the ladies, the last one we are
Yeah.
dealing with in the church, they're very much, probably more than before, aesthetically oriented. That's the thing. They are more aesthetic oriented or visually and orally aware, and they're more body focused and holistically, I mean, artistically, or involved in the multisensory. In that sense, holistically educated about the Bible or the life itself. And when you look at this society, and when you go to online Bible, that's one of the very immediate places we can talk about when it comes to aesthetics or arts, including this Zoom space, including my own background. Art is everywhere. If not art, aesthetics. By
Mhm.
aesthetic, something we create so that we can make this world look better or feel better or perform better. That's everywhere. And it's getting more intensified these days, aesthetically or artistically and visually, orally. And I believe the people in the pews, they are bringing somehow, the thing is, through those artistic or aesthetic experiences, we are developing some type of maybe innovative or creative hermeneutic, like how we see the Bible, how we see the
Mhm.
reality, how we see the world. So they are like, I'm seeing this world, this scripture, or this passage more artistically, more aesthetically, because that's what I'm experiencing in everyday life, or every second when we breathe. So if that is something that people bringing to the church, even to the moment of preaching, I really want to respond to them. I really want to honor what they are bringing to the church and how they approach the Bible, how approach the reality, so that we can have a good resonance, we can convergence between whatever happens in preaching and whatever happens in the interpretation of Scripture and whatever people want to hear or how they want to hear the sermon. So can we create that convergence and resonance between preacher, scripture, and the people's mind or psychology or their spiritual yearning? If we can make it come together, I believe, I hope we can have a good preaching, a good sermon. That is not really boring. And
Yeah.
that's it's something that just goes in one whole the eye and ear and
Comes
goes
out the
out to
other.
the other. So stay in their cycle, in their mind, and they so that they can reflect more and more on there. Oh, just one more thing, by the way, on the topic. I believe because of the more aesthetical experience or artistic experience of this reality or harmony they bring to the scripture and reality, there is some yearning for the connection with the sacred more and more artistic or aesthetic sense, I believe. Something beyond themselves. That's what arts do, as we all know. So they're like, can I experience, I mean, the Rudolf Otto, the German theologian, called it the mysterium tremendum, right? The mysterium, the holy mystery of God. Can we experience it through this artistic harmony and performance of preaching and the hearing as well? So that was something we wanted to include this book as well.
It's nice that you can name that movement in two directions, towards the
Mhm.
transcendent and towards
Yeah.
the hearer, and how those intersect. Might want to I want to give you one more chance to
Mhm.
plug a way you're extending the work of this book. You and your colleagues who've been working on this are available to come do workshops together,
Mhm.
alone, at schools, at churches, in
Yep.
conferences, etc.
Mhm.
So if any of our viewers are interested in that and have a group of pastors who want to pursue this further, reach out to Dr. Yang at George Fox University and he'll make it happen.
That's right. And we have our own website at this point. So the www.preachingcenter.org. So when you go there, you can just click the invite button and tap, and there's a list. There is the invitation form, and even various types of conferences or workshops we can provide. So tailored or customized to their own needs. I mean, contextually. So they're
Wonderful.
there. So it's available.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for taking time for being with us.
Mhm.
It's a wonderful set of books that are underway. So I appreciate this new offering to our guild. It fills in a gap. And I think dovetails with some of the work you've done on digital preaching as
Mm,
well.
yes.
You know, TikTok is an art form. I'm expecting a whole set of
Yes,
books just on
yes.
TikTok preaching.
We will work on it. Maybe there will be including the volume three, I believe. We
Thank
keep
you
it.
so much, Dr. Yang.
Thank you so much for this conversation. My great pleasure.